Hi, everybody. Are you ready for today's Bible story? I am. Ready? Let's go.
Passover is a celebration of the time when God freed the Israelites from slavery in Egypt. Every year, a feast is held to celebrate Passover. You might have heard about the one well-known Passover meal called the Last Supper. Jesus sat with his disciples to eat this meal. A disciple is a very close friend of Jesus, one of his best friends, and there were 12 of them. His disciples didn't know yet that this would be the last time they ever ate with Jesus. During the meal, Jesus announced that one of his disciples would betray him. His disciples were shocked. Not me, they said. I would never betray you. No, it's true, Jesus explained. It's God's plan. But I'm telling you, the one who betrays me will be miserable. As they were eating, Jesus took some bread, offered a blessing over it, and gave each of his disciples a piece of bread. He said, "Take this and eat. This is my body." Then he took a cup of wine, blessed it, and passed it around the table. "Drink this," he told them. "This is my blood." They were very confused. Then he explained. He explained that he was going to die for them, but that he would also be raised from the dead. And now they were even more confused. Peter was sad to hear that Jesus had to die. He swore his loyalty to Jesus, but Jesus told him that before the cock crows, which meant morning, "Peter, you will deny me. You will tell people that you are not my friend." Peter thought this was outrageous. He said, No, I won't deny you. I'll even die with you." The other disciples all said the same thing to Jesus. "Not us. We love you, Jesus. We won't deny you." They were sad and they were confused. After they ate, Jesus led them to the Garden of Gethsemane. He told them that he was going to pray. Then he asked Peter and 2 others to go with him. They knew he was very sad too. Jesus told them to watch over him while he prayed. "You guys stay here. I'm going to go right over there." Then Jesus prayed very hard. He prayed and prayed to his Father. He didn't want to die and leave his friends, but he knew that God had a plan, and he knew that this had to happen. When Jesus went back to his friends, believe it or not, they had all fallen asleep. Oh, he wasn't too thrilled about that. After all, it was late at night, and they had eaten a big meal, but Jesus was still kind of mad. He asked them to wake up and keep watch over him. Then he went back to pray some more. But it was so hard to stay awake because it was so late at night, so soon his disciples fell right back asleep. When Jesus found them sleeping the second time, he woke them up again, and then he went back to pray. And then, when he came back the third time and they were sleeping again, he told them, nice guys, I'm going to be betrayed and killed, and you guys are sleeping? Really? Gee, thanks. Oh, look, here comes my betrayer now. And everybody turned around, and what do you know? Just like Jesus said, there came one of his disciples, Judas, with some guards. Judas had brought the guards to Jesus and told them that the person that he was going to kiss is Jesus. So Judas walks up to Jesus and greets him. "Hey, teacher, what's up?" Then he gives Jesus a kiss. And Jesus looks at Judas and says, "Do what you came to do." So the guards went to grab Jesus, but the disciples went crazy and tried to fight with the guards. They all pulled out their swords and they were fighting, and Jesus stopped them all. He asked them to stop, and he said, "Those who live by the sword die by the sword. This is no way to handle this. In order to do God's will, he had to go. And if he really wanted to, he could have used his power to stop the guards. But this was something he needed to do. He had to follow God's plan." So Jesus let the guards arrest him and take him away. His disciples were devastated. Judas was going with the guards, but he already had a feeling that what he had done was wrong. The guards had brought Jesus to the high priest Caiaphas. Caiaphas questioned Jesus. "Are you the Son of God?" Jesus said boldly, "Yes." While he was being questioned, Peter had snuck through the woods behind them, and he was watching. Peter was very concerned about Jesus. He never thought he could betray Jesus, and he was really worried about everything that was happening, and he didn't want Jesus to die. The high priest found Jesus guilty of blasphemy. Blasphemy is a fancy word for lying about being the Son of God. They thought Jesus was lying. They decided that Jesus' punishment was that he should die. That's what happened to people who were convicted of blasphemy. Well, when Peter heard this, he was in agony. He was so very, very upset. The guards began to be mean to Jesus. They hit him, they kicked him, they spit on him, and they called him names, and Peter was horrified. Judas was already regretting what he had done. He was so mad at himself. Oh my goodness, how could he have betrayed Jesus? He wished he had never been born. That's how much pain he was in. He knew it was too late to save Jesus and that Jesus would die because of him. He was so upset with himself that he just didn't even want to live anymore. So he hung himself from a tree. Morning was coming and a crowd began to gather. A servant girl noticed Peter and recognized him. She said, "Hey, you're one of Jesus's friends, aren't you?" Peter was still so shaken up by what was happening to Jesus and really scared, and remember, he hadn't had any sleep. He didn't know what to say, and he said, No, not me. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know him." And just then, the cock crowed. Peter realized that he had just denied Jesus, exactly how Jesus said he would. He cried. The guards took Jesus to the governor, a man named Pontius Pilate. Pilate asked him, "So, I hear you're the Son of God. Is that why you're here?" The high priest said that you're telling people this. "So, are you saying that you're the Messiah?" Jesus didn't answer. Pilate kept asking Jesus and hoping that Jesus would defend himself, but it wasn't happening. Now remember, it's the festival of Passover, and each year at this festival, the governor pardons a prisoner. That means he sets them free. So he brought out a prisoner named Barabbas. He asked the crowd and the high priest that had gathered which one he should pardon. The high priest shouted, "Barabbas, Barabbas!" And then the crowd started to follow along, shouting, "Barabbas, Barabbas!" with them. So Pilate had no choice but to let Barabbas go free. And then Pilate asked, "Well, what should we do with Jesus?" And the crowd shouted, "Crucify him! Crucify him! Crucify him!" So Pilate condemned Jesus to be crucified. Then the guards took Jesus away to prepare him to be crucified, but first they beat him very badly. Then they made a big, heavy cross out of wood, and they made him carry the cross. It was really, really heavy. It was so heavy that Jesus fell down a few times. And every time he fell down, the guards would beat him and kick him and spit on him and be mean to him. Finally, when Jesus reached a place called Golgotha, his cross was raised up, and they put him up on this cross to die. That was what a crucifixion was. His mom and his friends and anybody who wanted to could be there, and they all had to watch him die on the cross. The very moment that Jesus died, the temple shook like an earthquake, and it broke apart and was destroyed, and the bodies of many holy people who had died were raised to life. Jesus' words were true. Resurrection was indeed possible through God. Well, Mary Magdalene and another Mary had helped to wrap Jesus' body after it was taken off the cross. They were preparing it for burial. Jesus' body was placed in a tomb, which is kind of like a cave, that had been cut out of stone. Pontius Pilate was a little worried because people were talking about how Jesus told them that he would come back to life. So he ordered guards to secure the tomb. They ended up rolling a big giant rock over the entrance and stood guard to make sure nobody could get in and take the body. After 3 days, on the third day, Mary and Mary returned to the tomb. When they arrived, all of a sudden, another earthquake. The earth had shaken. Or was it an earthquake? an angel appeared out of nowhere, an angel. The angel rolled back the rock like it was nothing, like it was a feather. The guards were so afraid, they fell over. They were terrified and they couldn't even move. The angel told the women not to be afraid and that Jesus has risen from the dead. This is very good news, and that they should go and tell people. And they could look in the tomb because it was empty. And it was. The women left in a hurry to go tell everyone what happened. They couldn't wait to find Jesus. They were so excited. Oh my goodness, for sure, everybody would believe now. On their way, take a guess who they saw. Yep, it was Jesus himself. He was alive and well. Hi, ladies, he greeted them. Oh my goodness, they were so happy. They grabbed his feet and tried to worship him right there. And Jesus said to them, "Oh, that's very nice, but don't be afraid. Really, go tell my brothers. Go tell them I will meet them in Galilee. I can't wait to see them again." So the women got up and they hurried along to tell the good news that Jesus was risen.